Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive.
Yeah.
All this buzz about AI lately is pretty wild. And today we're going to dive into something that's been on my mind about it all.
Oh, yeah.
All the e-waste,
Yeah.
all this awesome generative AI, chat GPT, AI image generators, that kind of stuff.
It's a good point, for sure. It's super exciting, all this new tech, but we got to think about the environmental side of things too, right?
Totally. Can't let all this progress trash the planet.
Yeah.
So that's the mission for this deep dive. We're looking at research specifically on the e-waste challenges of generative AI, making sure this progress isn't, at the cost of the planet.
Yeah, so not just AI generally, but the stuff that makes new content, like the text and code and images. We've got this study from Nature Computational Science with this framework they used. It's pretty fascinating.
Wait, a framework? What's that?
Oh, it's just a way to analyze it all, how materials flow, driven by all the computational power. We're talking servers, the big ones for these large language models, like what runs ChatGPT.
Okay, starting to get it. So this study, what's it say?
Well, it predicts that AI's computational capacity could increase, get this, like 500-fold by 2030.
500-fold? That's insane. Like, what does that even look like?
Think of it this way. Every single device you've got, phone, laptop, your fridge, everything, suddenly needing 500 times more power to run. All that processing power needs servers, and those servers, they become e-waste eventually.
Whoa, okay, now that's sinking in.
Yeah.
So in terms of e-waste, how much are we talking?
Millions of tons probably by 2030. Just from the AI servers too. It's like we're tossing billions of iPhones every year globally.
Wow, so like each person on Earth is tossing at least one iPhone, maybe even two, just from these AI servers. That's wild.
Yeah, and it's not just how much e-waste, it's what's in it too, right?
Right.
You've got valuable stuff, gold, silver, platinum, but then also lead and chromium, hazardous stuff.
Yikes. So we're talking environmental problems, but also potential health hazards, and we're missing out on recovering valuable resources. Seems like a pretty complicated issue.
Yeah, it really is. And think about this. It's not evenly spread out either. The study says it'll be concentrated in Europe, North America, East Asia.
Ah, the places developing AI the most. That raises some big questions about, like, whose responsibility is it? Environmental justice, too.
Right, exactly. It's like we're making a digital divide, but with environmental problems attached.
So, any solutions?
Yeah.
The study got to have looked at that, right?
Oh, yeah, they did. They talk about all these circular economy strategies, ways to minimize the waste.
Like what? What'd they find?
Well, one of the best is lifespan extension.
Lifespan extension meaning.
Basically finding ways to reuse those servers after their main AI life is over.
So, like, instead of scrapping it when it can't handle the latest AI stuff, you use it for something else.
Exactly. Less demanding stuff. Data storage, web hosting, things that don't need as much power, like downcycling it.
Okay, squeeze a little more life out of them before recycling.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Yeah, there's module reuse too.
More jargon.
Sorry. It basically means you take the servers apart and get the good stuff out, like the GPUs, CPUs, the memory modules. Those get refurbished and put into new servers or other electronics.
Hold on, GPUs and CPUs. Refresh my memory.
Oh, right. They're like the brains of the computer.
Yeah.
GPUs are graphics processing units and CPUs are central processing units. It's like taking apart Legos and building something new,
Got it.
Yeah.
So extending the life of the parts themselves, not just the whole server. Smart way to reduce waste, recover the good stuff.
Exactly. Then there's one that seems weird. Immediate upgrade.
Immediate upgrade. Isn't that like the opposite of what we want, always having the brand new stuff?
Well, you'd think so, right? But it gets into this thing called the rebound effect.
Rebound effect. Now I'm curious.
Okay, imagine you buy a car that gets like crazy good gas mileage. You think you'll save money on gas, but then you start driving more because it's cheaper, so you end up using the same amount of gas, if not more.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a technological, just one more cookie kind of thing.
Exactly. We end up using more because it's efficient, so the initial gains get wiped out. Could even lead to more e-waste.
So we got to be careful with that one. So this study, what's the takeaway?
They really stress that it's got to be a combination of things, not just one magic bullet. We got to address both the supply and the demand.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just about dealing with the e-waste that's already there, but making the whole AI system more efficient from the beginning.
Absolutely. And that's where innovation comes in, right? The study talks about how upstream solutions, like changes to how they design AI models and making chips more efficient.
So it's not just the hardware, it's making the AI itself better, less wasteful. How does that work?
Well, there's something called sparsity. basically making the AI models smaller and more efficient without losing performance, like cleaning out your closet.
Ah, so getting rid of the stuff you never use, making it easier to find what you need, less clutter, less waste.
Exactly. And then there's chip efficiency.
Right, the GPUs and CPUs we were talking about.
Yep, making those better so they use less energy and last longer.
So smarter AI, more efficient chips, plus the circular economy strategies is a whole system thing. But there's always complications in the real world, aren't there?
Always. We looked at this Nature article too, and it brings up a big one. Geopolitical stuff, actually. It could make the e-waste problem even worse. It's about access to the best AI chips.
Right, I remember reading about that, like how they're restricting the sale of those advanced GPUs like the NVIDIA H100
Yeah.
to some countries. How does that tie into e-waste?
Well, if those countries can't get the best chips, they're stuck with older, less powerful stuff.
Makes sense.
So to keep up, they need way more servers, and that means more waste.
So even if they're doing everything else right, they're still behind the curve in terms of efficiency. Seems unfair.
Yeah, it definitely complicates things. The article highlights how all these things connect. Technology, politics, the environment.
Right, it's not just a tech problem, it's social and political too. Speaking of which, that Nature article also talked about companies, right? What they're doing about all this. Or not doing, I guess.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, honestly. A lot of companies just aren't transparent
About
about their AI's environmental impact. You try getting data on their energy use, the water, the e-waste. Good luck. It's like a black box. They talked about OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman. He admits the energy's a problem, but he's putting his hopes on, get this, nuclear fusion.
nuclear fusion. That seems a little far off, doesn't it?
Yeah, and AI's energy needs are going to be huge, like rivaling whole countries pretty soon. So, yeah, pinning your hopes on something that's not even a sure thing is not ideal.
Not exactly responsible either. It's like saying, we'll figure out the environmental stuff later. Not very reassuring.
Not at all. And it's not just energy either. What about water?
Water. Oh, yeah, to cool all those servers, right?
Exactly. Data centers use tons of water, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem. They even mentioned that lawsuit in Iowa.
Where they're fighting about how much water that data center's using. I think I heard about that.
Yeah, that one serves OpenAI too. It's a perfect example of the tension around this. These processors, they get hot, like really hot. And water's the easiest way to cool them down.
Makes sense. Giant computer running all the time is going to heat up.
Ah.
And using so much water when there's already shortages, not exactly a sustainable plan.
Exactly. And because companies aren't transparent, we don't even know how much they're using. It's tough to hold them accountable.
So we've got a lack of transparency, potential water shortages, and reliance on future solutions that may not even pan out. Is anyone doing it differently?
Thankfully, yeah, there are some. They talk about the Bloom model in the article. They did a good job with that one.
What's Bloom?
It's a large language model, but they prioritized energy efficiency and how they set up the data center. Shows it can be done.
Okay, so it's not that these models have to be bad for the environment. It's about the choices made when you're building and using them. What else is happening?
Well, there's a new bill in the U.S. that's supposed to address AI's environmental impact.
Oh, yeah. What's it do?
Basically, it says the National Institute of Standards and Technology has to come up with standards for, figuring out AI's impact. And then companies have to report their impact, but it's voluntary.
So a step towards more transparency, maybe some industry standards.
Yeah.
But voluntary reporting, that doesn't always work that well, does it?
Not always, no. Companies might just prioritize profit over the environment, especially if there's no legal reason not to.
The classic problem. But hey, at least people are talking about it, recognizing it's an issue.
Right, and awareness is the first step. But we need to go beyond that, move towards action. And that's got to involve everyone, from the people developing AI to the policymakers to everyday users like, you and me.
So we're not off the hook. That brings up the question, if this AI boom is just getting started, what's our responsibility to make sure it happens sustainably? What can we actually do?
Well, that's a great question, and it can feel kind of overwhelming, right?
Hmm.
But honestly, every little bit helps. It's not like we're powerless here.
Okay, good to hear. But realistically, what can we do to affect something this big? It's not like we're designing the AI or writing the policies.
Well, think about this. We're all consumers, right? So when you're using some AI tool or a service, take a second to think about the company behind it. What's their stance on sustainability? Do they even say anything about their energy use, their e-waste?
So like doing a bit of research before jumping on the latest AI thing, kind
Yeah.
of like checking for ethical sourcing or fair trade stuff.
Exactly. Vote with your wallet. and your clicks, and don't be afraid to ask
Like,
questions.
reach out to the companies
Yes.
directly.
Yep. Social media, email, whatever. Ask about their environmental policies. Let them know it matters to you.
Right. Make it clear that sustainability is part of the decision.
Mm-hmm.
If enough people do it, they'll have to pay attention.
For sure. And beyond just our individual choices, there's collective action, too.
What do you mean?
Supporting organizations that are pushing for responsible AI, and environmental sustainability.
Hmm.
Local stuff, too, like e-waste recycling, making sure electronics get disposed of properly.
Right. Joining forces with people who care about the same things. There's power in numbers, right?
Absolutely. And don't forget your own voice, just talking about it.
With friends, family.
Yeah, everyone. Post about it on social media. The more we talk about it, the more pressure there is on companies and the government to do something.
Right. Got to keep it in the conversation, not just let it be a tech industry problem.
Yeah.
It affects all of us, so we all got to be part of the solution. But what about, like, on a personal level? Anything else we can do?
Totally. This isn't just about e-waste. It's about how we think about technology in general. Like, do we always need the newest AI gadget?
Good point. Do we need it or just want it?
Exactly. It's not about denying ourselves cool tech, but being a bit more thoughtful. Can we repair stuff instead of just buying new? Donate old devices instead of letting them sit around. Little things add up.
Right. Moving away from that disposable mindset. Seeing electronics as, like, valuable resources that need to be treated right.
Couldn't have said it better myself. In the end, it's about making sure this AI revolution actually benefits everyone, not just a few, and not at the cost of the planet.
Well said. Technology should be working for us, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And we can make that happen. Shape the future of AI, make it sustainable. It's a big challenge for sure, but we can't ignore it.
No doubt. And the good news is there are already people doing amazing work on this. The movement for ethical, sustainable AI is growing fast. So if you're feeling inspired, there are definitely ways to get involved.
Any recommendations? Places to start?
Oh, tons. There's the AI Now Institute. They're a research group looking at the social impacts of AI, including the environmental stuff. Great website. They've got reports, articles, even a podcast.
Okay, we'll link to that in the show notes. What else?
There's a climate action tracker. They focus on government policies, measuring how countries are doing on meeting the Paris Agreement goals. They have a whole section on the digital sector with info about AI's impact.
Perfect. We'll link to them too. Anything else?
Yeah, check out the Partnership on AI. It's a bunch of different groups, industry, researchers, nonprofits working together on the ethical and social side of AI. They've got a whole group focused on sustainability.
Awesome. We'll leave those links in the show notes too. And hey, if any of our listeners are already working on stuff related to sustainable AI, let us know. Hit us up on social media or email. Maybe we can feature you in a future episode.
That'd be great. Love to hear about the cool work people are doing.
Well, we've covered a lot today. E-waste from AI, potential solutions, what we can all do to make it more sustainable. Fascinating stuff.
Totally agreed. Definitely something we need to be paying attention to. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Oh, I like where this is going. What's on your mind?
We've talked about the problem, the solutions, even what individuals can do. But if this AI thing is really just getting started, maybe we need to be thinking bigger, What are the values behind it all? It seems like we're so focused on what AI can do that we're not asking what it should do.
It's true. We kind of get caught up in all the cool stuff AI can do, and we forget to ask, hold on, where are we going with all this?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where this whole e-waste conversation fits in, It's not just about cleaning up the mess. It's about deciding what kind of AI we actually want, one that reflects our values,
Right, making sure it benefits us and the planet, not the other way around. But how do we even start thinking about that? It feels kind of big, almost philosophical.
It can be daunting, yeah, but we got to have this conversation. I think the first step is recognizing that AI isn't just about the tech, it's about human values too, ethics.
So we need to move beyond just the technical stuff and get into those deeper questions like, what kind of future are we making? What are the risks, the benefits? How do we make sure it's used for good?
All those questions, yep. And to answer them, we need more than just tech people. We need philosophers, ethicists, social scientists, even artists. Everyone bringing their perspective to help figure this out. It's got to be a collective effort so AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
I love that. It's like we need an ethics advisory board for AI. A bunch of smart people from different backgrounds to help us make the right choices.
That's a great idea. And these conversations can't just happen in universities and stuff. We need everyone involved in this, not just the tech experts.
Right. Everyone gets a say in shaping this technology that's going to affect us all. And that includes you, our listeners. We want to hear your thoughts, your concerns, what you hope for the future of AI.
Exactly. Talk to your friends and family, your coworkers, even your elected officials. Share your thoughts online. Let's make sure AI is developed the right way, with values that represent the best of humanity.
That's a powerful message and a good reminder that this deep dive isn't the end of the conversation. It's just the beginning. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and let's work together to make sure AI is a force for good in the world. Well, this has been eye-opening for sure. We've talked about the e-waste problem, possible solutions, and what we can all do. It's a big challenge, but it's also shown me that we have the power to shape the future of AI.
I agree. It's a really exciting time and challenging, but I'm optimistic. I think we can get through this tech revolution and leave a good world for the next generation.
Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and let's work together to build a future where AI is a force for good. See you next time.